Trump directs Pentagon to prepare plans for Panama Canal seizure. President Donald Trump has instructed the Pentagon to develop plans for potentially reclaiming the Panama Canal, including military intervention if necessary, according to U.S. officials cited by NBC News. The officials revealed that U.S. Southern Command Southcom is considering a range of strategies, from increased collaboration with Panama's military to the extreme possibility of an armed invasion. Admiral Alvin Holsey, the Southcom commander, has already presented draft plans to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who is set to visit Panama next month. The feasibility of military action, according to officials, depends on the Panamanian government's level of cooperation. Trump has repeatedly declined to rule out force, not just regarding the Panama Canal but also Greenland, a Danish autonomous territory. During a recent joint address to Congress, he declared, "To further enhance our national security, my administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal," though his administration has yet to clarify what this entails. Trump has justified his stance by claiming that regaining control of the U.S.-built waterway is crucial for economic security. However, he has also falsely asserted that the canal is operated by China. Earlier this month, investment giant BlackRock led a $23 billion acquisition of ports at both ends of the canal from a Hong Kong-based company. Trump pointed to this deal as evidence that we've already started reclaiming the strategic passage. Panamanian President Jose Romolina pushed back, stating, "The Panama Canal is not in the process of being reclaimed. The canal is Panamanian and will continue to be Panamanian." Panama has controlled the canal since the U.S. formally transferred sovereignty under the Torrijos-Carter treaties, signed in the late 1970s by then-President Jimmy Carter. While the treaties grant the U.S. the right to defend the canal's neutrality, they do not authorize outright U.S. control. The U.S. has a history of military interventions in Panama, including a violent 1964 crackdown on student protests against American rule and the 1989 invasion ordered by President George H.W. Bush to remove former CIA asset turned dictator Manuel Noriega. Panamanian legal expert Alonso E.Illueca, writing for America's Quarterly, criticized Panama's concessions to the U.S., such as withdrawing from China's Belt and Road Initiative and backing American policies at the United Nations. Panama should abandon its accommodating policy towards the U.S., Ilueca argued, warning that further appeasement could undermine national sovereignty. Instead, he advocated for aligning with the rules-based international order and strengthening ties with nations like Canada, Mexico, Greenland, Denmark, and the European Union. The way forward for Panama lies in replacing strategic dissonance with strategic clarity, he concluded. Mark Carney has officially been sworn in as Canada's 24th Prime Minister, marking the end of the Trudeau era and ushering in new leadership during a period of economic disruption and political instability. Carney, an unelected Prime Minister, assumed office following Justin Trudeau's resignation, has signaled a shift in governance with a streamlined cabinet and a commitment to being action-oriented. At his swearing-in ceremony at Rideau Hall, Carney posed with his 24-member cabinet, emphasizing its focus on key national issues in what he called a moment of crisis. He announced that his first cabinet meeting would address eliminating the carbon tax set to rise on April 1st. Additionally, he confirmed upcoming trips to France and Britain to strengthen trade ties and discuss European security. Carney outlined his government's two main priorities: protecting jobs amid unjustified trade actions and improving affordability by curbing government spending. He emphasized investments in housing, energy, and trade, aiming to make Canada a leader in both conventional and clean energy sectors. Addressing trade tensions with the U.S., Carney acknowledged Trump's business acumen, but insisted that Canada, as America's biggest client, expects respect. While he has no immediate plans to visit the U.S., he will speak with the president at the appropriate moment. Responding to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's remark that Canada should be the 51st state from an economic perspective, Carney dismissed the idea outright. "It's crazy. His point is crazy, that's it." Carney has yet to announce when he will call an election or where he will run. He criticized conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's negative campaigning, arguing that negativity isn't strength and won't solve economic challenges. His cabinet selection, which leans heavily toward Ontario representation and moves away from Trudeau's gender-balanced approach, includes key figures such as Chrystia Freeland, now Transport Minister. Former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien made a surprise appearance at Rideau Hall, praising Carney's leadership. "He will do very well. He's respected internationally." His advice: do your best. It's a tough job, but you don't get in this job to have an easy job. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Melanie Joly confirmed plans for Carney to speak with President Trump soon and highlighted Canada's intent to strengthen ties with Europe to counter White House trade threats. She stated, We want to be closer to Europe. We want to be closer to Britain, the UK. We need to diversify our economy. Several Trudeau-era ministers, including Terry Beach, Jean-Yves Duclos, and Ahmed Hassan, were dropped from the cabinet as Carney's administration takes shape. Putin submits a ceasefire proposal to Trump, as reported by Reuters. The Russian leader has sent a proposal regarding the conflict in Ukraine to U.S. President Donald Trump specifically, a ceasefire agreement. Additionally, journalists note that Trump has once again urged Russia to sign and finalize a ceasefire and a final agreement, emphasizing his intention to pull the United States out of what he described as a real mess with Russia. It's crazy. PM Mark Carney dismisses Marco Rubio's 51st state comment. Prime Minister Mark Carney has strongly dismissed U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's remarks suggesting Canada could be the 51st state, a sentiment echoing former President Donald Trump's rhetoric questioning Canadian sovereignty. It's crazy. It's crazy. Simply put, it's crazy, full stop. Carney stated firmly when asked about Rubio's comments during his first press conference after being sworn in as Canada's 24th Prime Minister at Rideau Hall. Rubio had made the remarks at the G7 foreign ministers meeting in Charlevoix, Quebec. When pressed about Trump's stance toward Canada, Rubio remarked that the former president's argument about why Canada would be better off economically being a state stands for itself. Carney's response was unequivocal. His point is crazy, that's it. He went on to stress, "We will never, in any shape or form, be part of the U.S." Standing before his new cabinet ministers, Carney emphasized Canada's distinct parliamentary system, highlighting the fundamental differences between the two nations. "We are very fundamentally a different country," he asserted. Furthermore, Carney made it clear that Canada expects to be treated with respect by both Trump and the U.S. government. His position echoed that of Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly, who had already addressed Rubio's remarks during the G7 meeting, stating unequivocally, "Canada's sovereignty is not up for debate, period." CNN's Jake Tapper was stunned Friday after listening to former President Donald Trump's speech at the Department of Justice, calling it a norm-shattering and highly political address. Trump stated he wanted to turn the page on what he described as 4 years of President Joe Biden weaponizing the law and the Justice Department against him. However, Tapper observed that Trump now seems intent on using the Justice Department to target the news media and his political opponents. At one point in his speech, Trump addressed Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel, seemingly giving them directives for a far-reaching investigation into what he called the corruption system. He vowed, "We will expel the rogue actors and corrupt forces from our government." Tapper pointed out that Trump's remarks included threats to prosecute members of the media who do not report favorably on him. The former president specifically named CNN and MSNBC, accusing them of being extensions of the Democratic Party and declaring, "They are corrupt and they're illegal. What they do is illegal." Trump went further, alleging that media outlets were operating like highly paid political operatives and influencing the law in ways that just cannot be legal. Tapper pushed back, questioning whether Trump was implying that journalists should be prosecuted for accurately reporting his 2020 election loss. Tapper argued that Trump's claims were baseless, stating, "This comes with no evidence and no truth to what he's saying." He also pointed to Trump's actions just hours after his inauguration, when he pardoned or commuted the sentences of nearly 1,600 individuals convicted for the January 6 Capitol attack. According to Tapper, this move signaled that Trump's real issue with the Justice Department wasn't its weaponization, but rather who was wielding it. Now he has it. And no one knows for whom he's coming next. While acknowledging that media bias exists, Tapper dismissed the idea that he was a political pawn, emphasizing that he had interviewed Trump administration officials throughout the week. But what troubled him most was Trump's rhetoric. Beyond that though, he's talking about criminalizing it. This isn't if it was a grievance session about the media, have at it. By the way, Joe Biden did that too. But this was something else. This was talking about criminalizing it.